On today's Locked On Thunder podcast, we're joined by Brandon Rahbar at Brandon Rahbar on Twitter to discuss the Oklahoma City Thunder Summer League. Who stood out? Where is Ousmane Dieng at in his progression? And are the Thunder the favorites out west?
You are Locked On Thunder, your daily Oklahoma City Thunder podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's get it going on the Locked On Thunder podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. I am your host, media member, and Inside the Thunder beat writer Rylan Stiles. Follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. Follow the show on Twitter at LO ThunderPod. On today's show, brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more at FanDuel.com. We're joined by Daily Thunder beat writer, radio extraordinaire, Brandon Rahbar at Brandon Rahbar on Twitter. Brandon, how are you doing today here in the offseason?
I'm doing good. We're getting pretty close here, Rylan. Like becoming a more of a regular guest, enjoying this time with you.
We love having you on. I appreciate you coming on. We're going to talk about Summer League right off the top. As a disclaimer, we have not seen the Thunder play the Heat. As a peek behind the curtain, Brandon, I'll let you know, as you're a gamer, that people might not know that you also play video games. I'm getting ahead this week on recording, so I can really lock into college football 25. So I really appreciate you jumping on here on Sunday night. We still have plenty to cover from Summer League, and if the Thunder are the favorites out west is the question of the week that I'm really interested in diving into. But Brandon, are you going to play college football? Are you going to be up on the latest game?
I'm going to. I got to be honest. Like that and Madden and 2K were always my games. Like, like once everything changed, like first person shooters, I was like, I'm out. Like I loved the old school consoles. So once that happened, I just stuck to like my sports games, and that was basically basketball games and football games. And then, the college game went away. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. Now I got a question for you. Are you going to play with the Jayhawks or are you?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna rip open the Kansas Jayhawks. Cannot wait for all of that. But Brandon, we can talk Thunder basketball now. I appreciate you coming back on. It's been great to have you on this offseason, almost weekly here since the draft. But Brandon, Summer League has come and gone. Let's talk about it's not gone yet, but it's getting winding down. Let's talk about the biggest story so far, and that is Ousmane Dieng getting shut down for Salt Lake City. This caused a massive dialogue on social media. Am I downplaying the situation? I don't think that it really matters. I think that we see this all the time. Like these third year, second year guys that go to Summer League, they only play a handful of games. The Thunder play in 2 Summer League stretches where he played 3 games already, so he didn't quite make it to Vegas. Like if he would have played 3 games in Vegas and none in Summer League and none in Salt Lake City, people wouldn't have acted as though it was like an early shutdown or anything else. So do you think it was a big deal? And then overall, what is your outlook on Ousmane Dieng now as we enter year 3?
Yeah, first of all, I don't think it's a big deal because, like you said, he played 3 games back to back already. And the Thunder have a lot of data. We talk nonstop about Mark Daigneault talking about data points and collecting this data and information. The Thunder have 2 years of Ousmane Dieng, whether it be an NBA play, whether it be Summer League play, whether it be G League play, where they've seen him play. And he's got a whole summer still to progress, a couple months. He's got training camp. He's got preseason. The Thunder kind of know what Ousmane Dieng is. I don't think that anything he would have done in, Las Vegas would have surprised the Thunder. I don't think also, I think this needs to be noted. I don't think that them shutting Dieng down means he's going to be in a trade or anything like that. I mean, if he was going to be in a trade, I don't think that the decision to play him or not play him in Las Vegas would affect things one way or another. So I don't think that has anything to do with any sort of trade or anything like that. I just think they know what Ousmane Dieng brings to the table. They wanted to see him in Salt Lake, and they saw him, and now they get to focus on the rookies. As far as my long-term, analysis of what Uz is doing, look, everybody knew when he was drafted that he was a project, that he was kind of raw. It would take a few years to develop, and he's on that path. He's been getting better, which is what the Thunder talk about. They want to get better every day. And Dieng was going to be a guy that was going to take a while to get, ready to play in an NBA rotation. And I do think that the Thunder are still high on him. They still want to develop him. Now, does that mean he's going to be in the rotation? Is he going to get minutes? Is he going to make it in the NBA? Is he going to be a rotation guy with the Thunder? I don't know about that. The Thunder are so deep right now. You know for sure the 9 dudes. There are 9 guys absolutely the Thunder are going to play every single night. After that, you have Dieng and Kenny Hustle and Dillon Jones now and Jay Will that are going to be fighting it for some minutes. And I think he'll play some minutes some nights. I don't think he'll be in the nightly rotation, but I think we'll see him here and there. And the Thunder will continue to develop him.
So I would agree. Like, I don't think that anything changes. I think that this is the rhythm of the summer leagues period where these returners play 2 or 3 games. Typically it happens all in Vegas. So it feels like they've been playing a while, but for Oos, what would have changed had he played against Toronto and dominated? If he dominates, then people are just going to say, well, it's G League competition. We have plenty of data points of him playing in the G League and him playing in that environment. If he doesn't play well, then people are going to overreact in that way. Whereas, like you mentioned, he played 3 straight games in Salt Lake City and played really well in 2 of them. You can pick apart his first game for sure in Salt Lake City. But the most important step for him, I think, is just going to be growing his game overall. And you don't necessarily need those in-game reps. I think that the in-game reps are valuable for Dillon Jones and Ajay Mitchell as they shift into the speed of the NBA a little bit. And why it's more valuable for them, I think, is that in mid-major basketball, you're not playing guys top to bottom on a roster who are on the doorstep of the NBA. In summer league basketball, you are. These guys, top to bottom, have either made it to the NBA or they are the best of the G League that you really want to get a shot for. I mean, you look at Darius Baisley that you went up against in Salt Lake City. He's not a good NBA player, but he got the opportunity to be. He was a first-round pick. He played in the NBA, and he's better than anybody in the mid-major conferences in the most case. So these are still valuable reps for these young guys. Whereas with Oos, we have enough reps of what that looks like, and I think that you head into year 3. What I would wonder if this happens, we know that the Thunder love to explore and love to overchange their roster and rotation. Do you think that there's a chance that the Thunder could play him a lot in October, November, see where they're at, see if he sinks, see if he swims, and then make their evaluation from there?
Yeah, what's interesting about Ooze is he was actually in the rotation for the first couple of months last year, till around mid-December. He was actually in the Thunder's rotation most nights. So that was even, this is a team that obviously finished first in the West, 57 wins. And it's easy to forget because he fell out of the rotation. But for the first couple months of the season, he was in it. So now they've gotten even deeper. You add Hartenstein, you add Caruso, obviously Giddey's not there anymore, but minutes are going to be hard to come by. I do think that they may prioritize Ooze minutes early on. As far, we talked about how it'll be kind of a battle between Jay Will and Kenrich and Dillon Jones and Ooze for minutes. But we also know, Rylan, that Mark Daignault likes to play sometimes a night 11 guys, maybe 12 guys on any given night. Then the next night, maybe a couple of guys, that 10th and 11th guy don't play, and 2 other guys do play that didn't play the night before. So, I think that Mark will look at it, matchup dependent. He'll look at it like who did well in practice this week and earned minutes, those type of things. I do think that Ooze will get minutes early on, especially, this is a long NBA season. The Thunder are deep. The Thunder are probably going to win a lot of games by a lot of points. So there's going to be some fourth quarters where he gets some burn. Maybe the last 6 minutes of some fourth quarters early on as well. So I don't know what to predict as far as Ooze's, minutes, but I do think we will see him in the rotation, maybe kind of like a revolving rotation with those deep bench guys.
Yeah, I think that they're going to let him, stretch out a little bit. As you mentioned, it could just come from the Thunder being so good that, the end of games allows that flexibility. It also could come from the Thunder not being afraid to play 11, 12 guys every single night, even whenever they're at their apex of just dominating. 57 wins is an insane mark. That's an impressive mark. And they did it by, going deep into their rotation. I think that they'll do that again this coming season. Speaking of which, can the Thunder see the rookies crack their rotation as they've impressed in Summer League? We'll talk about that coming up. But first, I want to tell you right now about our good friends over at eBay Motors. Check out eBay Motors right now because passion, drive, patience. That's the formula for winning championships. It's also the formula to keep your ride or die alive at eBay Motors. It has everything that you need to maintain your vehicles and level it up to peak performances with superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed or power or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts to choose from, it's your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for with eBay Guaranteed Fit. It's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you'll be burning rubber, not cash, with all the parts that you want, the prices you want. Check it out today at eBay Motors to keep your car the MVP and bring home a huge win. Get your ride or die and keep it alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Motors Guaranteed Fit only available for U.S. customers. We're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. Joined today by Brandon Rahbar. Brandon, it's SEC Media Days. You can check out Locked On Sooners to discuss all of that. They have boots on the ground over there. Media Day for the Thunder, not for a long time. That'll be our second chance to talk to the rookies on this roster, Dillon Jones and Ajay Mitchell, who I think that they've impressed in their summer league stint here. What's been your initial reaction? Let's start first with Dillon Jones.
Yeah, I think Dillon Jones is just as advertised. It's easy to see why the Thunder were so into Dillon Jones, like trading those 5 second-round picks to get into the first round and get him. They liked him for a long time. Dillon said that, Presti kind of wanted to draft him the year before, was disappointed that he didn't come out last year. He's a big dude that can handle the ball and the playmaking. The Thunder love jumbo-sized players. They love guys that can handle, and they love passing. And that's, to me, what's popped the most about Dillon Jones is his ability to handle the ball at that size and his playmaking. We've seen him score. We've seen him rebound, which, the rebounding, was something that popped at the college level. But to me, the playmaking is what really stands out. It's so unusual to see a guy of that size and that physical stature, handle the ball and to play make like that. So he's a fun player to watch. Like, just watching him, he's so fun. And it's really easy to see the vision of like a connective piece on the bench, like a kind of do it all guy, like a Swiss Army knife that he can score. And we saw him, he had a couple of games where he went off from 3 and he can rebound. And I think he has some defensive potential because of his IQ and because of his size and his ability to scale up and scale down the lineup. But yeah, I think the playmaking is what pops for me.
I think that Dillon Jones just also showed the same thing that sort of Ajay Mitchell showed, of like the benefit of taking mature, 4-year players who are pro ready. This is not like the cream of the crop NBA, but I think that they showed, like in summer league, it's tough to take everything with a grain of salt of what you can actually take away from summer league. My biggest takeaway is that, like, they're mature enough to play should they be needed. And right now, like, you look at this team, and we just went through it with Oos of like, how do you get on the court? This team's too stacked. This team's too good. Last year, the Thunder had just unbelievable injury luck. This is still an 82-game marathon. And like, maybe not, and hopefully nothing dramatic happens, but even some minor stuff, like you twist an ankle stepping on a camera guy, you get an elbow to the face when you're boxing out. Like, you see these things that happen that could cause you to miss a couple games, or maybe you miss a week, but it's a week that you're playing 3 and 4. And so you're going to need someone to step up. I think that should you need, to use Dillon Jones, use Ajay Mitchell to supplement some of your rotation during stretches of this game, during stretches of this season, I should say, then the season at that point is not like an automatic, oh no, like what's going on? What's going to happen? Can they survive this? The very survivable players as rookies, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's funny because the Thunder took Nikola Topic, the youngest player taken in the lottery with their first pick, But we've seen this with the Thunder with their later picks, whether it's later first round or second round picks. They want those mature guys, the guys that are ready as rookies to come in and contribute. Like, look at Aaron Wiggins. Like, he was an older rookie. Obviously, J-Dub was an older rookie. Like, I think everybody kind of feels like Sam Presti only takes young guys. But especially with where the Thunder are now, I think it's really valuable, especially with this new CBA and knowing that you need to have some guys on some cheap contracts that can contribute right away, to take guys like Dillon Jones and Ajay Mitchell, who are kind of seasoned for rookies. They're coming in, older than a lot of the players that were on this team last year that won 57 games. Dieng was the youngest player on the summer league roster, older than these rookies. So I do think it's very valuable, like you said, to have these guys that can step in any given night and maybe be a part of the rotation. And I talked about Dillon Jones, but I very much think that Ajay Mitchell is the same way. Very, and the Thunder value IQ, the maturity, and things like that. And we talk a lot about it, off the court and the character, but their on court maturity and their IQ and the ability to process the game as rookies, I think could be valuable.
Yeah, and I think that Ajay Mitchell, like, he's a two-way contract guy. I think he'll play with the blue, obviously, just in terms of like needing to have that consistent runway, that consistent reps. But Ajay Mitchell has impressed with his ability to fit into this system. I think that when you look at both Jones and Mitchell, getting them around even better athletes than they were around in their respective colleges allows you to see more the defensive picture that they can integrate into, especially as you envision that with even better defenders in the actual NBA with the actual Thunder. I think that Mitchell, like, he has it defensively to be someone who can stand out next to guys. Obviously not like the guy defensively, like not the guy you want at the point of attack on the perimeter, but as someone who can complement a very good defense. And then offensively, he is just the built in a lab Thunder player of a guy that can just get to the paint at will and dish it out from there. Yeah.
Again, playmaking has popped for Ajay Mitchell. He's had a couple games where he scored double digits every single game. I like the fact that both of these guys are the dribble pass shoot, and they're both jumbo size, both high IQ, processing the game. Like, they're very much Thunder players. And Ajay Mitchell, I do think, even though he's on the two-way, I would not be surprised to see him, get involved in this rotation at some points as well. We've seen the Thunder do that. And despite the fact that they're in contention now, I think they'll continue to do that. I think they'll continue to develop these young guys with real NBA minutes. And you talked about them fitting into other NBA players. And I do think that, they're being asked to do more right now in summer league than they will be, obviously, with the Thunder. Like, when Dillon Jones and Ajay Mitchell, if they get into the rotation, they're going to be surrounded by Casey Wallace or Hartenstein or Caruso or J-Dub or Chet or SGA. And so they won't have to take on, the kind of the heavy burden of being on ball and kind of, leading the offense. They can be a connector piece. And I think both of these guys could be really nice connective pieces. And I think that both guys can hit open shots. I think that both guys can play within the defensive scheme. So I really like the idea of these guys scaling down the responsibilities that they have right now and fitting them onto the Thunder and especially with that bench unit.
And so we'll see kind of what this future season looks like, but I wouldn't just like we've been saying, put them in a box of like, well, this team's too good for them to play. I think that they're going to play and they're going to get opportunity, whether it be from the Thunder being willing to go really deep in their rotation, which we know that they will be, or hey, at certain times, somebody's got to step up for certain situations. So that will be very impactful as well. But the Thunder made a lot of moves besides just the draft, moves that we don't get a glimpse of in Summer League. We only have to wait for the October preseason and regular season. Did they do enough to become the favorites out west? Vegas thinks so, but does Brandon Rahbar think so? Coming up on Locked On Thunder. But first, I want to say right now about our good friends over at FanDuel. Check out FanDuel right now. Every customer right now at FanDuel can get a boost and bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long, because we know that in the summertime, sports aren't really sportsing like you want them to. The playoffs are over. You're kind of waiting for that next kick. But FanDuel lets you play all summer long, and they give you the boost that you can dream of. And so they can keep you in the mood all summer long at FanDuel.com. Go there right now for that all customer boost every single day. Maybe you only want to bet on the NBA. They do have summer league action, like tonight against the Miami Heat for the Thunder. They will be plus 6.5. I hope you do not bet on that last night. But the Thunder also second favorites to win the NBA Finals. You can place some bets on that. We'll talk about if they're contenders, but go there right now at FanDuel.com/lockdown. We're back on Lockdown Thunder with Brandon Rahbar, Daily Thunder. Check him out over there. Check him out on like every radio station known to man, getting a piece of Brandon Rahbar and the Lockdown Thunder podcast. Brandon, appreciate you hopping on. But we've seen the offseason play out. It's not as though it's like completely over, but I think that we have a good enough picture right now to make some educated guesses. Where does the West shape up for you? I mean, this is going to be a bloodbath of a conference, but if you had to decipher a top 5 in the West, where does it start? Where does it end?
So I think that there's a clear 4 that's ahead of the pack. The Thunder, I think, at 1, they were the 1 seed and they got better. They added Hartenstein. They added Caruso. Josh Giddey, I think, is going to be good in Chicago, but he didn't fit with this team. So you take away those minutes and give them to Caruso and Hartenstein, plus the younger guys developing and getting better, internal development. So I think all those things are going to make the Thunder better, obviously. I also think that the Mavs got a little bit better. I think that they're right there. I think that the Wolves, they added Rob Dillingham. They didn't really lose anything and may get, a little bit better, may take another leap. And I think the Nuggets, even though they lost KCP, I would put them at the bottom of this 4. But I still think that they deserve to be in the top 4 because it's the Nuggets and they are very top heavy. They don't have much depth. Losing KCP hurts, but I still think they'll be there. The 5 spot is really interesting to me. I think right now I would put Memphis there. They're a little bit of a wild card. They're a little bit of an unknown. But, with Ja back, Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr., Marcus Smart. Yeah, I do think, Zach Edey looks like he may be ready to contribute from day one, at least, give them some size that they need. I think I would put Memphis there. There's some wild cards there. Like, we don't know the Lauri Markkanen, domino, what's going to happen with that. Like, if he were to go to the Warriors, maybe they jump into that 5 spot, maybe not. You could argue it, I guess. They're the favorites to get him right now if he gets traded. I think the Thunder hope he doesn't get traded for a couple of different reasons. So right now I'll put Memphis in that spot. I'd go OKC, Mavs, Wolves, Nuggets, Memphis.
So we have the same group of teams in the top 5, and I'm glad you've included Memphis. You and I both discussed Zach Edey pre-draft. Everything I think about Zach Edey pre-draft, I still think today. I think that there's no other environment though that could have fostered such a impactful rookie season for him as Memphis. I mean, whenever you get to pair him defensively with Desmond Bane on the perimeter, with Jaren Jackson Jr. next to him, you get to give him that defensively to limit his kind of highlight and kind of counteract his limitations. And then offensively, you come down the court and you're setting screens for John Morant to get downhill. You're playing with a team that's used to playing with a guy like this. Like they had their peak success as a core with Steven Adams, and they had a lot of success with Valanciunas. Like they're used to having a player like that in their system. So it's not going to be an adjustment or a learning curve or like a thrown off to their rhythm or anything like that. So it was the perfect match. He's been playing well in summer league. You'd expect that from him, given his sheer size and athletic ability as a big man. But I think that he can look even better in the NBA because of those outstanding factors. Even as the talent gets better, of course, on the other side too, as scorers, and maybe that hurts him defensively. The Grizzlies are in such a position to protect him defensively that I think that they can get all of his positive traits and really negate his negative traits.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I really think and we did talk about him pre-draft. I think we both thought that he could be a good player, but just not for the Thunder. He didn't fit what the Thunder were going to do. So I don't think either of us thought that the Thunder would take Zach Edey because he's not a fit for their 5-out system. He's not a guy that can, switchable on the perimeter, things like that. And Chet was always going to be the 5. But yeah, I think that he fills a need that they very much had, losing Steven Adams. And, we saw how well they played with Steven Adams. So he's kind of like a blueprint there, the size and physicality and that presence. and like the space that he gave for Jaw, so many times on drives and things like that. So I like the fit. I like the fit a lot. I think that, a lot of people kind of thought it was crazy that Memphis took him in the top 10, but so far it's just Summer League, and I don't think you can ever overreact one way or another to Summer League. But I do think that you can kind of see some positive things that are going to carry over and translate. And I do think that we see already he's playing with, NBA against and with, NBA caliber, at least players. And I think that he's going to fit in the NBA. I think that this is the right landing spot for him. I agree.
So I have the Thunder, Dallas, Denver, Minnesota, and then Memphis as my top 5. So I really enjoy our 5 teams here. What does it mean for you that we both have the Thunder at 1, Vegas has the Thunder at 1, but like they're also this really young team that you still need to see J-Dub do it in the playoffs. You still need to see another year of Chet in the playoffs. We know we feel like we know what Shea can do in the playoffs after his last run and after back-to-back top 5 MVP finishes. What does this do for you in terms of what you're expecting? Like, that's the big word we love to throw around. What are the expectations for this team? What is it for Oklahoma City?
Yeah, I think now with the way they finished last year, and now, everybody said they need 2 things. They need playoff experience and they need size. Well, they got playoff experience and they got size, and they had 57 wins already. They have another year of development. I do think, especially going out and getting Hartenstein and adding Caruso, they have the top end talent and SGA MVP caliber player. You got the big 3 with SGA, J-Dub, and Chet. Then you have this depth. You have this insane amount of defensive talent, but so many of these guys are two-way players. I do think expectations, I'm not saying that they're going to go out and win a title, but I think that the expectation is they are going to contend for a title. They are right there in that group that you could pull every year. You can pick a handful of teams and be like, okay, these teams could feasibly win the NBA title this season. And I think the Thunder in those handful of teams.
Yeah, the Thunder are going to be on the short list of teams that can hoist the Larry O'Brien trophy. It's going to be fun to see their path and journey and if they can pull that off. But Brandon, where can they find all of your work as we cover a team that has championship aspirations?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Brandon Rahbar. I am on Franchise Radio 107.7 and KREF Radio as well. And of course, dailythunder.com is where I do some dabbling in writing.
dailythunder.com, Brandon Rahbar. Thank you so much again for joining us. Cannot wait to have you back. Already looking forward to that. Enjoy college football. Hopefully you win a national title sooner rather than later. But again, thank you, Brandon. And until next time, be good and be good to one another.